Well, since we are here, I will call the meeting to order. It is 7:31. And I'll take notes and send them around. I don't see any public participants, so we have no public participation, and that's fine. So I think the big thing we want to spend today on this is, we can call this, in fact, given sort of this new direction, this is the first Mulligan, the first meeting of the Green Business Subcommittee, since we missed Julie last time, and since the last time came up with new ideas. So welcome. And I think the idea here is we want to do something to make a green business program, and more importantly, support businesses in making local businesses in making green, sustainable changes to how they operate. Right. So that's the premise. And how best we might do that and garner support from the business community and help them get over obstacles is the charge of this group.
Yeah.
So Christina, I know you had some big ideas. Do you want to share those? Julie, did you have any, this is a concept that Christina and I had been sort of working on a little bit prior in the waste reduction subcommittee. That was sort of where it got initiated, and then we spun it out in its own committee because it didn't seem like it wasn't focused just on waste. So if you had any ideas or questions or anything.
No, I really don't. I'm happy to support, and I know it's been an idea that's been bounced around for a long time, probably even before the ESC. And we've collaborated with the chamber on some other things, and so I think it's great. So yeah, and I apologize if I missed any emails or maybe didn't even read the minutes from the last meeting. So
well, the minutes didn't have this new. Oh, right, I missed a step. Let's vote on the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll get into the next thing. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Christina?
Yes.
Julie?
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here, so that's fine.
Perfect. And I'm a yes, so minutes approved. Thank you. Okay, so
I can sort of update Julie a little bit about
Thank you.
the change that happened. So basically in the waste reduction committee, we had sort of come up with that point system, which I think we had sent around at some point. So, businesses would earn points based on what they had done, and based on how many points you got, you were either like a gold, got the gold certification, or the silver or the bronze, or that sort of thing. And then when Tiana and I were talking at the last meeting, my head just was spinning because I was like, I feel like the businesses need more support, and not just this checking off and like slapping a little decal and saying, hey, I'm, is that really making meaningful change? So I was really, we just started emailing back and forth about what this could possibly look like. So what we had kind of thought about and talked about was a pilot program to start. So what that would look like is like having 5 to 10 businesses that, if we reached out to the community and said, hey, can we get 5 or 10 Wakefield businesses that are interested in doing this, right? And so we would kind of walk them through it. There would be certain little phases, so it wouldn't be all at once. So that was the other concern, is that like giving them this huge list can just lead them to that analysis paralysis kind of concept of like, wow, this is a lot, I don't want to do any of it. Right. So just leading them through that. So let's just say, like, these are just some thoughts, but it's like, let's say phase 1 is waste reduction, and we can sort of work with these businesses on, these are all the little things. And then like the next phase, let's say it's recycling. And we said the one thought was like reaching out to Anne and having like a mobile dumpster that's for cardboard, or something that we can like really start to help businesses put these things into practice. Go through these little phases. We'll have like an energy efficiency piece too. And then, I'm like a roadmap person, so I need to like see it a little bit. So I kind of felt like I needed a little more structure. And then at the end of that, then that would sort of lead to this green business certification. These businesses would have that. We have the decal all set. We could do that. And then at least we can work out the kinks, and we can like, I just felt like a little nervous about putting it out there and not having that experience of going through it. So
I
anyway.
love it. I love it.
Okay.
5 or 10 might be a little ambitious, but
You know what? That number can be anything. It could be
Maybe
one.
we'll say 5.
and I love it because like it's not like we're gonna just send them out on their own. Like we'll almost be like advisors working with them, right?
Yeah, like something where we can help. And also they want to do this, right? So we're not just like picking a random restaurant. Like, there needs to be some sort of responsibility on their part where they're interested in this or they want to do this
Right.
too. So
And then if they're already like halfway there on one of the particular areas, that's great. Maybe one of the other businesses learns from what they've done, but we help them get to sort of a certain level to say like, yes, you have succeeded in the, recycling phase of this.
So that they're all doing it and they're, confident in doing it, know how to, and then can keep this going. So at least that way, we get them into these good habits. And then, the whole idea is that, we'll help more businesses and people will want this certification. It'll mean something. That's the whole idea. So yeah, that was what we talked about. We had
That's awesome.
And so I think,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Julie.
You go.
I was going to say, I think what I would want to think about is what those pillars are. Like, what are the sort of 4 buckets that feel like the right size thing to bite off, and that, electrifying your fleet is probably not in this pilot. Like that is probably just too big and ambitious for this stage.
Definitely.
So like picking the right set of things that feel actionable, but also meaningful, that we actually think we can support, in this first chunk.
And maybe, I don't know if we can use at least those items on the point system. Like maybe, I was thinking maybe we can go through them and be like, okay, this could be part of this pillar and these ones could be for this one. And at least, not scrap all the work that we've done already, utilizing that in some way.
I think, that's where we start.
Cool. Do you have it handy, Christina?
I have it on my phone. Yeah. The points one you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay, so that we can like bucket it and figure out what the pillars are. And then was your thought that I was rereading your note, that we would do each phase for like 3 or 4 months?
Yeah.
So that we're like getting through that pilot in a year or so, and then.
So it's a question to think about of how long a pilot would be, right? Like a 2-year pilot seems way too long, right? Like is a couple of months seems maybe too ambitious. So like I started at the 1-year mark of like, okay, for a year, then you get the certification, but open to any and all suggestions for sure. And then just breaking it down, a couple
of months. Maybe it'll depend on what the things are that we select as those first actions, or do they feel like things that could be tackled in a quarter?
Right. Do you want me to screen share this or am I not able to do that?
You should be able to.
It says disabled.
Hold on. Try again. Now you should be able to.
All right, there we go. All right, you see that? Okay. All right, so these are the ones that we kind of came up with. And maybe what I'll do is next to it, I can just sort of put the category or the pillar, we'll call it, and then see what they fall into. So I'm gonna guess, like, would that be like recycling or waste reduction, or what's like or like using
it's waste reduction, no, wouldn't it?
Waste reduction, okay, so we'll do like a waste reduction. All right.
You know what I like about this too, and we can talk about it, but like the baseline, right, should be following the rules that we already have in town.
Correct.
Right.
So
I know that goes without saying, but this is a really good opportunity to reinforce that with everybody. I think it's good.
Definitely. And bring it to their attention if for whatever reason they don't know about it either, or they need the reminder.
Right.
All right, so choose a color other than black if using plastic takeout containers to enable recycling. That was, why'd we put that in? Because you can't recycle black, right?
Right, yeah.
So is that a recycling option?
Yeah.
Do you want to go through each of these and kind of do it this way,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah.
I think that's fine, yeah.
All right, so going strawless or switching to non-plastic straw options is waste reduction. What would composting fall under? Is that like a?
I think it's a waste reduction. It keeps it out of our waste stream.
Awesome. Okay. So waste
And this
reduction-
is just about using compostable takeout
Oh,
goods,
right,
but
right.
there's one somewhere down in here, maybe it's in the 3 points category for like actually compost
Cool.
your stuff. Yeah.
Yes, got it. Non-toxic green cleaning.
Mhm.
Is that a waste reduction? Because it reduces toxic things in our environment, or?
I,
The chemical, like
Yeah, what is that?
yeah,
like
watershed?
air
like,
quality.
air and water quality. And we may not, it may not
Yeah.
all fit cleanly into 4 categories, and we may
Yeah,
decide that
that's-
some of these, are sort of bonus things that we suggest, but that are not part of the phases.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Energy,
energy
what
for
is energy
sure.
efficiency.
Yeah.
Paper products, so is that recycling?
But this is about using recycled stuff,
Oh,
not
yeah.
about actually recycling it.
Oh,
But
right, so waste reduction?
which maybe is a nuance of, is recycling as a bucket. I mean, recycling and waste reduction are also kind of,
It might
I
even
know.
be the same pillar.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're all gonna have some sort of carryover.
Yeah. So put I do both waste reduction and recycling.
Okay, offer receipts, that's a waste reduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Accept reusable bags, waste reduction, use bulk dispensers.
Waste,
Well,
that's
that's
waste. Yeah.
Okay, then we got turn off lights when not in use, so that's
Energy.
energy efficiency. This would be
So
the air and
that's
the water, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have conduct routine litter prevention. Waste reduction.
Yeah.
Oh, also air and water. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
part of the problem of litter is it gets into the
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
watershed, right?
We can do both of those. And then this is like an energy efficiency. Keep entrance door closed when air conditioning is on. I feel like is that 4 categories already?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
1, waste reduction, energy efficiency, recycling, and then air and water. All right, so now we're at the next level.
Obviously, those next 2 are recycle.
Yeah, so this is it did that to me last time. All right, recycling.
Really wants to be helpful.
That's helping me too much. Okay, recycling. Donate leftover food. Is that waste reduction?
Mhm.
Install automatic motion sensors.
Energy. Next one
Energy.
also.
Automatic sprinklers. That.
Oh, that's a good one. That pisses me.
Is that air and water?
Yeah, I mean, it's not wasting water, right?
Yeah, we'll put it under that. Composting.
That's waste reduction.
Waste reduction, okay. Purchase food and or supplies locally. Is that like air and water because you're not utilizing the gas and the resources to go and?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, that one's sort of a.
We don't really have anything that's directly climate.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Can we lump that into air, water?
We may have to
climate?
lump it in somewhere.
Well, we also could recategorize some of the stuff as like green purchasing,
Okay,
right? Like buying recycled paper, purchasing things locally, changing your what like food containers you buy, like
I
there
get it,
you could
yeah.
there's a different way you could slice some of these things that
Maybe
takes some of them out of the waste reduction and puts it into a put your money where your mouth is kind of category, perhaps.
Okay, I get that too, yeah. An energy audit. Efficiency, installing a rain barrel. What's that under, Aaron?
Air and water, probably.
Water.
Yeah, it's not, don't waste the water.
Yeah, refer other businesses.
It really doesn't need a category.
Yeah, it doesn't, it just, hopefully that's part of it. All right, and then the last category is all the big things that we kind of are not
I
gonna.
mean, let's talk about this. Do we think that any of these really realistically belong in a pilot phase? Like, I would love to talk about and promote these things, but I feel like if we're trying to start small and with things that we can tackle in a short number of months span, maybe there's like I'm almost seeing like two tiers, maybe this sort of like a hybrid between what we had done and what you're proposing, but like if they are then doing any of these things, we give them some extra gold stars, or we promote them extra specially or something, like, because no one's gonna join this pilot and go replace all of their appliances.
Right.
Yeah, but you don't want to lose sight of all these. So yeah.
Right. Like these are big ticket, awesome things. And we should absolutely say, like, here's the gold, like the biggest, best things that you can do. We're warming you up with, hey, you should compost.
Right. Or
I don't
maybe,
know.
yeah, I mean, maybe even when they're done with all the other things, like they can pick one of these as a goal or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, or like we talk with them about this list, like these are the big goals.
Right.
Which of these are on your next year or two roadmap? Like maybe we don't have many appliances, so that's not a thing for us, but we do have vehicles. So yeah, we will start thinking about, maybe it's like commit to planning one of these things for the next
And I mean,
year.
and a lot of these things are landlords. I think you're going to find that a lot of our businesses are not the landlords.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a barrier for sure. So we might want to think about how, can we focus on the ones that are.
So we don't want to penalize a business that can't do some things because they're not landlords.
Right.
And I think that was part of the point system challenge, was like, oh, if I can't get any of these bigger point things because I don't own the building, that's harder.
Right. No, I'm with you. And even just from a business owner perspective, these things cost a lot of money, and you have to really incorporate that into the business versus the other ones that are much more manageable and reasonable.
These are also things that you could aggregate, right? As you get some momentum, like an electric car charger for a building that has 4 or 5 businesses in it, right?
Right.
Or group purchasing bike racks, things like that.
Yeah.
Or make sure that, like, when businesses are thinking about these sorts of change, like if we're moving to a new facility or we're renovating our bathrooms or whatever, they know that, like, this is something that we're paying attention to, and they'll get, free press if they tell us, like, even just asking, like, tell us when you do any of these things.
Right.
Of any business, even if they're not in the pilot. Like if any business told us this week, hey, by the way, we just signed up for the Green Choice program, we'd post about it. We'd put it on our web. Once this web page exists and we can say, great news, this business did a thing, maybe these 5 pointers each get an individual shout out, just if you do any one of these things, as, distinctly from making it through the sort of 4 levels of the pilot.
Yeah.
I guess I'm sort of leaning into the social proof, peer pressure piece of it. Like, I want more businesses to see that there are some businesses who are making these choices.
Right.
And then that may promote things like, oh yeah, let's go in together, this group of
Right.
businesses on a bike rack or a whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Like I'm thinking like Greenwood Plaza here, like they really need a bike rack. They've got bikes like
yeah,
parked everywhere. And but then
Mm.
more than one business could use it. So
that's right.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. All right. So, okay, so what do we want? We want to leave these kind of out for now, and then towards the end of the pilot, we can start throwing those out
it's
there.
gonna be an
and-
ongoing list too, like other
Yeah.
like other things to consider, and then we'll come up with other. I think we'll find some other
Yeah.
things as well.
Okay. But these other ones are ones they can control for the most part. That don't cost a lot of money either. All right.
And so do we want to take some of them into a green purchasing category versus waste reduction?
I like that idea. Can it be like a subcategory of, one of these? And what would fit in green purchasing?
Well, so it's that one there.
Yep, so we got this one, like,
I think that's the only one on in this bucket.
okay,
Oh,
But I think-
compostable.
Yeah. So in the one pointers,
yeah,
you go back to the top of the list.
Yeah, the fourth one down.
The fourth one down, but
The third
also,
one
I mean,
too,
the third
Number
one,
the third one too?
yeah,
This
right?
one?
right? I mean, like,
Yep.
purchase the things that allow you to not use straws. Kind of also, I mean, so maybe is waste reduction.
I think what is the goal of waste reduction? Like, I think if you talk to DPW, the goal of waste reduction would be getting it out of our municipal waste stream.
Yeah.
Which frankly, businesses are not in our municipal waste stream because they're responsible for their
That's
own.
true.
So is it reducing waste kind of in general, or is it diverting it into places where it's better recycled and composted and right?
Yeah.
Right,
Solid
that's
waste.
a good question. Yeah, I think it depends on the business too, like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's like a restaurant, food service versus an office, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like I brought this up at one of the waste reduction meetings, but Lakeside Office Plaza has how many businesses in there, and I don't think any recycle.
I'm in there, I know.
And it's like, okay.
They did just put in a cardboard dumpster.
Great.
Do you know
Okay.
that it's actually going separately to a
I'm
cardboard place?
I'm
'Cause
pretty,
I
I haven't
recall.
seen it move yet, but they're very strict about what you can put in it.
Okay, well, that's good.
And they have a lock on it now, so people are not just dumping in it.
Oh, that's
So
great.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
watching
good.
that carefully.
Okay.
How
How about paper
I
over
take
there?
home? Like paper, no, like I bring paper home. I bring my composting home, everything else. Like,
Yeah. Okay. So you're I'm over there too, a couple
Oh,
days
you
a week.
are?
Yeah. And just at like an outpatient clinic, I work there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the paper, there's tons of copy machines, and I can't take that much home. I take it, I
Yeah,
take as
well,
much as
I have
I
a very
can.
small operation.
Yeah. And I'm just amazed.
I
that-
think we can talk to them. They just joined the chamber, I believe. They just
Okay.
put in an EV charger, even though it's ridiculously expensive.
Where is it?
They're trying. It's over by the hotel.
Oh, okay.
They've got a two plug charge point. It's really, really expensive. I don't know what it is, the rate, but I think I paid like $35 to charge
Oh,
2 hours. Like it's
oh
Wow.
my gosh.
it's ridiculous. I don't know whether they did that on purpose or they just kind of don't know what the going rates are.
Who's that money going to?
It must be going to the office park, I imagine. I've never seen anybody use it. I was desperate. I needed to use it one day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's getting beat up on Charge Point on the app.
Oh, it's, yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
But the point is they're trying. I do think they're trying.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
So, okay, here's how the distinction it works in my mind. So
Okay.
things like text receipts, letting people use reusable bags, reusable tableware, that's waste reduction. But purchasing takeout containers, things that aren't black, strawless, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and choose paper products made from recycled content. All of those, I think, are green purchasing. Because it's not the problem isn't that they as businesses aren't recycling their black plastic. The problem is that they're getting black plastic in the first place. So I think that those 4, and then the one number 8, choose paper products made with recycled content. That's another purchasing decision, right? Like if you're buying paper or napkins or whatever, get green ones. Things like don't give me a receipt, don't give me a bag, don't give me individual packets of ketchup. Those are waste reduction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
that's how my mind is bucketing these things.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to put them in, because do we need this document? Like, are we?
Do whatever you want with it.
Okay. So we can kind of mix it up a little bit. All right, so. Energy efficiency, so maybe we'll do waste reduction next. So if we do,
Is choose non-toxic cleaners also green purchasing in that case?
probably. So let's say,
Yeah,
just say,
yeah.
call it. Well, this can all change. All right. Okay. All right, which one was, did you just say, Tiana? That was,
That one right there, that choose, whoops, air, the one that's currently marked air water.
yeah, change that.
I think that's purchasing.
All right. Anything else that's purchasing that we can shift over? Maybe this one? Is that a purchase or is that?
I don't, that's where I draw the line. I think that's air and water.
Okay.
Because they may not be purchasing it anyway. Like that's more of a like, what choices are you influencing of the service that cuts your lawn?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Do
That's
we
hard.
have enough in an air and water category for it to be its own?
I mean, the automatic sprinklers.
Just
that
how
are-
many does that apply to? Like how many
yeah,
businesses
maybe not that
are
many.
in
I mean,
control?
and to a certain degree, don't run your automatic sprinklers when it's raining is also in some ways waste reduction. It's like don't waste
Oh, that's true.
like don't waste water on a already wet lawn. So I don't know, maybe that one's sort of an outlier too.
Okay. Do we want the air water category, do you think, or do we want to just shift them over? There it looks like
Well,
there's
these don't all, we don't need to put all of the 1 point and 3 point into these phases. Like we should make phases
That's true.
that make sense. And there may
Okay.
be a few extra things, or like these are also some great habits to get into.
Right, that's true. Okay, so let's say. I'm just gonna kind of label these into buckets.
Yep. Yeah.
That
So light
works.
bulbs, turn things off. Don't
Okay.
put your air conditioning out in the world. And then there are a few in the 3 point bucket.
And then. All right. What do we want to do with the litter prevention?
Let's hold on to that one for now. Like I feel like we're gonna have some miscellany.
Yeah. All right. Do this as quickly as I can. Okay. Do we have a recycling one? Did I put that in?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna do that here. All right. I'm gonna do this. Okay. Is this helpful to kind of
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
just completely ruin the document?
Yeah, I wish we had these like on paper. We could just like
Yeah, we could just.
card sort.
All right.
You're doing a fine job.
All right, I'll take this out. Okay, there's only a few. Oh, that one we're not doing, so. Move these guys over. And I think that's 4.
Mhm.
So. Donate leftover food to charity. Do restaurants do that in general? Or-
I mean, schools are, but I don't know if restaurants
Right, the
are.
schools are. Okay. All right, about done. Okay, so we have,
Well, I think there was another green purchasing down at the, in the 3 points still. Oh, right, in the install a rain barrel. That was. Yeah, I think maybe some of these, the air water ones maybe just become
sort of,
miscellaneous.
yeah, they go into one of these. So this one can be, I'm gonna guess a green purchase, because they can technically purchase some sort of, you know, something that controls pests or whatnot. That's natural.
Yeah, and again, this may be
Oh.
a renter versus a landlord issue.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they might not have any.
What about rodent? Maybe that's part of this, of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Did we spell out herbicides or chemical fertilizers or outward? I mean, should we just include in that also don't poison the rats because you're poisoning the owls and hawks? Or is that
Mm.
separate?
Yeah, if you could tell me how to word it, I'll add it right in there.
Herbicides, rodenticides or chemical fertilizers, right? Isn't that that's called a rodenticide?
Yeah, how do you
right?
say it? Rodenticide is, I don't even know.
It's exactly, yeah.
Yep, yep.
I saw some person spraying Roundup outside of the library over the summer. Just,
Yeah, the library, yeah.
I went up to him and I was like, hey, no, please don't. Please don't. But he thought he was doing a good thing. Like you could tell he really thought he was helping to keep like the weeds down. So
All right,
All
so let's look at these 4 buckets.
okay.
Let's see.
All right. Automatic sprinklers. This is a landlord thing, right?
Yeah.
Rain barrel, I'm gonna guess that's a landlord thing too. I don't know. Like, is that something?
Yeah, we could put those both in the like the category with the other 5 pointers. Actually.
With the other what?
With the 5 pointers below that are like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
you know, extra things you should be doing that are
Right.
planet saving, and we will be excited about it, but they aren't part of the phases. We could just call this bonus.
Yeah.
Extra hard. This is a challenge round.
Extra challenge. Or, well, I don't know what we'll call it.
Yeah, workshop.
We'll figure it out. We'll change that. All right, referring other businesses. I think that's just, can we just delete that? Is that just part of, yeah. All right.
Okay, so let's look at these 4 phases and see, like, do they hang together as a phase? Do they feel actionable in a short period of time? And what's the sequence of phases?
Well, I like starting with the green purchasing because I think that that's a quick fix, and businesses are purchasing things pretty regularly. So if we
Well,
can
I
change.
will say that we went through this when we had the styrofoam ban issue
Mhm.
going on. And we worked closely with the chamber. And you'd be surprised how pretty difficult this was.
Was it? Okay.
Well, and one of the things that went, not very many people took our survey, but the ones who did, there was some interest in some like shared purchasing kinds of
But that's what I was going to
opportunities.
say. I do think there's some interest in some shared purchasing.
Right.
And the chamber kind of thought about it, and there were some logistical things, but
Mhm.
I think without the pressure of, kind of a deadline on the styrofoam and all that, like,
Mhm.
and we wrote that so that they shouldn't, anyway, they have to use what they have, which is fine.
Mhm.
Right.
But yeah, then I think we could really help giving them guidance on how to do this and really helping them understand the cost. It's a lot for them to figure out,
Mhm.
they're going so fast.
Yeah.
And they're short-staffed, and it's
Totally.
stressful, and it's expensive, and
Mhm.
like, yeah, I really think that this is where we could help them figure this out.
Yep.
Absolutely. I even wonder, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself perhaps, but like if we end up doing some shared purchasing, there are enough empty storefronts? Is there somewhere we could like put a town-run stockpile of these things for shared purchasing? I don't know. I feel like there ought to be some way of making some centrally facilitated both purchasing or like materials and perhaps collection, right? Like maybe some places in town aren't going to bring compost to like they don't have a spot to put it. But if there was a place centrally in the town square, they could bring it. Or in Lakeside, maybe there's somewhere there that has a little extra space and could host the compost bin for the other few businesses or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to sit down with Erin Cookinda and to talk a lot of, I
Yeah.
think she's our next step, actually.
Mhm.
All right. So green purchasing. Some of these could be a little, easier in terms of like cleaning products, maybe, they can,
Yep.
like Julie was saying, I'm gonna walk them through this.
Mhm.
And then this phase 2 is waste reduction. So these are some of the, bigger things.
We probably also, I know this has come up at various points, but like we should make sure we are clear with the health department on any restrictions on reusable stuff, as well as bulk dispenser, like any of those sorts of things. Like we don't want to be telling a business to do a thing and then the health inspector comes and tells them that they're in trouble. So we should make sure that we are able to articulate any of those guidelines.
Okay, no, that's important. I go into restaurants and people make fun of me, but I bring my little, glass Tupperware because I always have leftovers. And you'd be surprised how many restaurants tell me I cannot use that.
Even if you're scraping it off from like
I'm
your
like,
own
they're
plate.
like, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you go away? And then I'm just gonna put it in there. And I'm like, I don't need that container. Like, please,
Right.
I don't want it. So, but I have had some pushback on the fact that they cannot do that. So I think it'd be
And
nice.
coffee cups too, right? There was one that
Yeah, the coffee cups I ran into also, but like just a refresher of what is and isn't allowed would be helpful.
Yeah.
Is that an Erin thing or is that a health?
It's a health department
Health
thing.
department thing. Is that Anthony? Is that his name?
Anthony, yeah.
I know Anthony, yeah.
And I hear, I don't know any of the inspectors, but I hear we have a really good inspector team now, so he'll just pass us off.
okay. Yeah. Right. Like just if there's any of these that are nuanced, like yes, you can pour coffee into someone's mug, but you can't.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
What else? Let's see. The donating leftover food and composting food. I mean, the composting food, that's easy in as much as like, here's Black Earth, please feel free to sign up. less easy perhaps for certain businesses just from a logistics standpoint of like where they put the bin,
Right.
you know, that kind of thing. And do they even need a whole bin? You know, like Julie, an office like yours, you wouldn't need a whole Black Earth pickup just for, you know, just for two of you eating lunches. But, you know, could we help facilitate, you know, if there are multiple businesses in a
Well, there's
in
a
a building
restaurant.
or
There's a restaurant there at the hotel,
right, yeah.
right? Like, could they get a big bin that we could all use?
Oh, right. Yeah, because some of the restaurants would need, I mean, that small bin would not be enough for them.
Right, but they could have a
Yeah.
big bin like the schools have,
Yeah, the big
or
ones.
that like farmland has. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that would be a huge win for restaurants across the board to be doing.
Mhm. Yeah. And I don't know what the rules are around donating leftovers to, it doesn't even need to be to charity, like send it home with your employees. I don't care where it goes as long as it's not going in the trash.
All right, so we'll take out, so just donate, donate leftover food. I don't know if that leaves it too open, but
It's fine. I mean, and I think this is going to be maybe where, you know, like us sitting down with the businesses individually and talking about what are the challenges, you know, and if it's a food service business, the set of challenges for them might be very different than if it's a, you know, an office-based business.
And I think the early businesses that are going to get into this, like I think of Leaf and Ginger, who's really already doing a lot of this stuff, like
Yeah.
they're going to give us a lot of insight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What they found trying to do this on their own too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So do we want to talk about, so I can like refine this, like I don't want to waste our time doing that if we have all these on there. Like I can refine this and make it, you know, a little bit nicer. But in terms of how
I mean,
we,
these feel like good for buckets.
yeah, these feel good.
Is this the right sequence?
Oh, yeah, we could talk about that.
Like, I think I agree that green purchasing feels like either green purchasing or waste reduction feels like a good place to start.
Yeah, I like that.
Recycling feels like shame on them. They should be doing it already.
Right.
Right. Like the stuff we're telling them to recycle, well, other than ink cartridges, but like all of those
Remember, they
things
don't
are,
get municipal pickup. So
but
unless their
they're still
landlord,
they're still banned from the trash, right? Like, yes, no one is enforcing it, but these are still things that are not supposed, you know, not allowed to be in the trash.
right? And
Right,
I'm
but
not even sure people know that, right? I mean, I think some of the downtown issue is that there's nowhere to put a dumpster other than that one parking lot. And I think there have been conflicts in the past with businesses putting dumpsters of land that wasn't their land and like, I mean, I think the one thing that we could really help figure out is a central dumpster
Right.
Yeah.
in certain
Okay.
areas,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You know, maybe there's a way that the town can help. I don't know. Like,
And that's maybe the discussion.
Right.
DPW discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. There is a little bit of a break, not a little bit. There's a lot of a breakdown with recycling, I think, because I see people throw away yogurt containers all the time. Drives
Right.
me nuts. But then again, there's no recycling that's available.
Right.
So they clean it out and take it home.
well, I mean, quite honestly, one of the big issues with doing, and I love that we're doing this, but we're not very good in the municipal, right? There's no downtown recycling and trash bins that are being
Right.
segregated.
It's true.
So
Right. So even for
we're
people
gonna get
walking
some
by.
pushback from the, you know, rightly so.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah.
From the, you know, and part of what I like about this is like maybe the businesses will help start pressuring the municipality. Municipality can help, you know, we all need to be walking the walk and talking the talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But right now, if you want to throw away a can downtown, I don't know where you do it.
There's the one Big Belly
The Big
in
Belly.
front of
Right.
the post office.
Right.
That's the only one I can think of.
Right.
Yeah, I would
So,
carry
I
it
mean,
home.
maybe part of the solution is, you know, I don't know, a couple of more recycling, kind of retail recycling where little things can go in, and then a big one for more business things. I don't know.
Right.
Right,
Right, because like we sure don't want to put a couple of barrels in town for recycling and then have businesses filling it up
Right.
with their cardboard.
But like
Right.
businesses that are selling, I don't know,
Bottled plastic bottle of soda.
plastic bottle of soda, like right, like we want it to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a puzzle. I think a lot of this is gonna be a puzzle that we have to work out.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I think with a lot of this, we're gonna have to figure out before we start asking for the pilot companies.
Yeah, I think we'll look pretty embarrassing if we don't have at least some ideas for how we approach these things
Right.
Mhm.
when we start having pilot companies join in.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking of the new boba place. I don't know if you,
Oh, I haven't been
You
there
guys
yet.
been?
No, I heard good things about it.
it was fantastic, but I was like, everybody's walking around with these plastic cups and the straw and the thing, and like just how much waste was created. I'm like, this has to be better. Like this, it's gotta
Yeah.
be better.
Did they have straws?
Oh, yeah. So it's straws that's in like a plastic, it's like a cup, but that has a plastic film on it, and then the straws in it. So it's like,
And the straw's wrapped.
and the straw, yeah, so it's like plastic on plastic on plastic. And then there's just garbage cans around there. So
Okay.
yeah, so just something to
Yeah.
think about. Anyway. Okay, so recycling in some capacity, and then the energy efficiency piece.
Right. And that feels like the harder one of these. So saving it for last.
Yep.
Some of those are certainly landlord, if you don't have control over the space, some of these might be harder.
Yep. Agreed.
And we might learn more about like things that could happen in that bucket.
Right. And like, that's the point of the pilot too, is right, to like really go through these and kind of figure out where those barriers are and.
Would it
How-
make sense for the purpose of learning? Do we want to try to get pilot businesses that are diverse in their business type? Or do
I
we
was
want
just
to
thinking that.
like,
That'd be
we
ideal.
want one restaurant, one coffee shop-ish thing, one lawyerly type office, one retail-y type place, and one something else. Right. Like if we end up with only food service businesses, we severely limit what we learn. Although then they
Mhm.
could learn from each other. So we could do, pilot 1, the food service folks, pilot 2, the not food service.
It's tricky. The logistics are tricky, in terms of figuring out how to match everybody up. I feel like my instinct is to go with who wants to do this, like who's motivated and says, I really want to make some
Yeah,
changes.
yeah.
Like that's where to go, and just to figure out whatever businesses they are, where those connections and the overlaps are,
Mhm.
and do that.
Yep. I also feel like something that we're gonna want to find sooner than later is some like good examples from other places of business. I mean, and maybe they're in town, and I'm not, maybe Leaf and Ginger, but like businesses of the same category, they're doing that well already.
Right.
And like, where do they purchase their thing? Where do they recycle their thing? What are they doing about turning off their equipment when not in use? Maybe there's a great tool for that. So finding some good businesses to use as is there a
Yeah.
bubble tea place that uses not plastic cups? I sure have
Right.
never seen one, but maybe it's out there.
Maybe in Cambridge, somewhere like that. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a big learning curve and
Mhm.
a lot of kinks, but
So is Erin is like a focus group with Erin, or a sit down with Erin our next step?
I think so. And then I think at some point the chamber too.
Yeah. And we had used the chamber, we'd gotten some feedback from the chamber on the prior version of the concept. but it wasn't especially insightful. I don't recall. I think it was like, yeah, there's some stuff there. Some folks might be interested. But yes, I think we could do another a proper sit down with them.
Okay.
And then DPW about how we might support how they might be able to help support some of these things, and health inspector on any nuances on the sort of any of these things that are health and safety related.
Right.
Right. In theory, they're, inspecting your trash and, waste facilities and stuff like that also, not just, your food items.
And in terms of like working with these businesses, when we get there, like, are they like joining this Zoom call? Is it like, like, what is the best way to?
I
Right. How
wonder
do
whether
we,
we don't like, I don't know, like hold a session and invite people to just hear what it is like. Like for them to figure out whether they want to be part of the pilot.
Right.
Mhm.
Right? Like invite, I don't know, like maybe maybe it's a Zoom session or maybe it's a hybrid thing, and walk through kind of like all the stuff. Like they might be like, oh, that's interesting. And they could focus on just a certain part of it if they wanted. And then maybe after they've heard it or they've watched, or we could do a recording or something on it, then they could fill out an application and say kind of what they're interested in. I don't know. We just pick them. I don't want too much work on us either, right? I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to get 1 or 20.
I was thinking that too.
Mhm.
Like, how much
It might
work?
be, I mean, if they do an application, like, what are you already doing? Like, what, like, out of the 4 pillars, what do you
Yeah,
really
what are you
focus
doing?
on?
Right. Well, and what's, are they sufficiently motivated by what we're offering?
Right.
Right. Is our support in getting them
Yeah.
there, and then our accolades and decal and all of that, is that enough?
And maybe having a session like that is kind of, here's what we're thinking.
Mhm.
But we'd really like to hear your feedback too. What would motivate you to be part of this pilot?
Right.
Out of these 4 categories that we're doing, like what would most excite you? Or like what do you feel like you could really use some help with?
Right.
Is there anything we haven't identified?
Yep.
But we should probably do the groundwork with Erin,
Yeah, I think
DPW,
we've
et
got some
cetera.
groundwork to do.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
In terms of the open meeting stuff, if we wanted to go meet with Erin, does that have to be an open meeting? Or is that we can
No,
just,
because I don't know, because it's an ESC thing, not a, yeah. I think we could do that.
like that doesn't have to be invite her
No.
to the next one of these. We can just like set up a
Yeah,
meeting.
we could just
Okay.
set a time up with her to go talk to her.
Okay.
I feel like she would have some good ideas too.
I'm having breakfast with her on Friday. I will bring it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
She's pretty flat out with
I was
the
gonna say, very busy with the 40A
and
MBTA.
bike ped plan, but
Oh,
hopefully
bike
I'll
plan.
be over soon.
All right. Let me stop sharing.
And do we want to, are we looking to sequence these? Like we shouldn't try to talk to Anne until, or other DPW folks until we've talked with Erin?
I'll mention to it, Aaron, on Friday. I don't think we have to wait for Aaron. I think we can definitely do like the public health and DPW.
Okay.
And like you said, you've already talked to the chamber a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think it's okay to even start saying to somebody, I mean, maybe it's even worth. Did you ever put anything up on our webpage or on our Facebook on this? I think maybe it's worth even saying, we have a brand new green business community. We're kind of thinking these things through. If anybody has any input, we'd love to hear from you.
Right. We had done a survey.
You did the survey, right?
We did a survey, which we promoted via, Erin sent it out, I think, in an email, and the chamber sent it, and I went to the chamber breakfast with little QR codes for it. We got a whole 6 responses. Mostly, positive on the concept, but that was not on this sort of pillars and pilot
Right.
specifics.
We also have a new, let me see, I just got an email today. There's a brand new Economic Development Council that was
mm,
established like 3 years ago, but is meeting for the first, was just appointed.
It was
I don't know.
established 3 years ago and is meeting for the first time now.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
happened?
took a little while to get
Okay.
populated. Ed and Maureen are both on it. It's supposed to kind of help Aaron do, it's supposed to help
Mhm.
Aaron.
Okay.
Now, their first meeting's March 6th at 7, I believe. Anyway, just something to like, that might be another place
Mhm.
where we go and talk. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd want to go to their first meeting,
Right.
but we should be paying attention to what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's on the committee. I'm not even sure we've appointed yet. I wasn't at the last meeting so much.
All right. So for tactical next steps, it sounds like, so Christina, you'll work, like you'll make that page
I will beautify that and make
beautiful.
it very nice. Yeah.
And Julie, you'll mention this to Erin and see
Yep,
if
yep,
she's up to meet.
yep.
Um,
Oh, they have
uh,
appointed the Economic Development Council. So it looks like it's got somebody from the bank. It's a good group. I only know like half of them, but it's got a realtor, a communications person, somebody from the savings bank. And it's got some, yeah. And a
okay,
couple of
cool.
people that I think are aligned with us on environmental stuff.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Yeah, that might be a useful
That might be a useful
feedback
tool.
avenue.
It's on the website under Economic Development Council.
Okay.
Cool. Cool. And shall I reach out to Anne to ask for a meeting with her or other members? I mean, probably her, right? Is she
Yeah.
the right point person?
Yeah.
Just to see like what's feasible in terms of the
Yeah, so
recycling piece and
run these notions by her and see which of these are things that DPW would be able to support. I think the recycling is the big
yeah,
the big one. Like, and do they have any ideas?
It's interesting. I'm looking at the objectives of the Economic Development Council.
Mhm.
There's some places where I think we would fit in. A lot of it is like helping bring new businesses in, but creating incentives to promote Wakefield's competitive position. I mean, I think this would do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Developing marketing promotional initiatives for Wakefield as more business friendly and regional commerce destination. Like, I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see
so
that.
I think it could align. I think it comes from more of an economic standpoint, but still.
Mhm. Right. And I think some of what we were starting to do last time that we then sort of did this pivot was how we talk about, like, how we position this, because we want this to not just be like, here, we're going to tell you all the things you're doing
Right,
wrong.
exactly.
Right. But like more of a, we can support, find ways to, help businesses to make some changes, and then to celebrate and promote the businesses that are making these changes and how we can help support them for doing,
Right,
doing these right things.
right.
So it might be worth us starting to like jot down some language around that also. So how we communicate about this.
Yeah, and then if there's anything that, I'm sure there's some things written on competitiveness, like businesses taking on green. Like, I mean, I know one thing around the bike ped plan that we're looking at is, this misconception that people who bike and walk don't spend money, right?
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of related.
Interesting. Yeah, right. At some point, as we're promoting this, we might want some fodder around, this will be good for your business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
some of that will be economic, like maybe over time, the green purchasing will actually save you money, right?
Yeah,
Well, and if they're paying for, depending on how they're paying for their waste
Right.
hauling, like if they're throwing away less.
That's another thing we really, I guess
stuff,
Ann
like-
will begin to help us figure that out, but yeah, we
Yeah.
really need to figure out what their costs are, like,
Mhm.
hopefully we get businesses that help us kind of understand what the costs are. How are they getting rid of their waste?
Right, because if they're paying for it just as the cost of their trash,
Mhm.
having less trash because they use bulk ketchup dispensers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they recycle the cardboard through whatever, centralized cardboard dumpster
right.
Ann has.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we've one of the survey responses to the survey about this asked for, like, I don't know where to recycle my cardboard. I said, well, you can bring it to the pit, but that's all, that is very much available to businesses. There's no restriction on who can put cardboard in the cardboard dumpster, but it's only open on Wednesdays and Saturdays, or Wednesdays and weekends, and depending on the business, those may not be convenient times to haul your cardboard over to the dump.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool if we could like find a small business person who could pick it up once a week?
Yeah.
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 Right?
Oh, yeah. We've
To
got that.
drive to all the businesses and they make a little money and it gets into the right stream. And like, I think we're gonna have to be creative.
Yes. Yep.
I think there's plenty of those people out there too.
I think so too. You
Yeah.
know, kids wanting to make a little extra money.
Yeah, I had a bunch of sticks in my backyard and I posted on whatever Wakefield community and I had like at least 10 people message me saying,
Right.
I'll come do it. I'll bring my truck and I'll bring it to the, the pit for you.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially what we would need, or those
Right.
businesses. need, you
Right.
know.
So something like that.
Yeah, I like
This
that.
is fun. This is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad I signed up for
Yay.
this subcommittee.
Yes.
Glad to have you. And I think the three of us have a good sort of set of, background and ideas and knowledge of the different aspects of town stuff. So I think we'll get somewhere.
Awesome.
Cool. Good stuff. Last item, our next meeting per the calendar would be Wednesday, March 20th. Does that work for you?
That works for me.
March 20th. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna be, I was supposed to be in DC, but I'm not going to be.
Okay. Sounds good.
This is always the same night as my book club. I just want that to be.
Oh, yeah, that's
Which is
right.
okay. Which is okay. Which is okay.
Is it though? I mean,
Do we need to move it? Book club's important.
I don't think yet.
Okay.
I hear the book's not that great for next. The one today was supposed to be very good, but I never got around to reading it. So
well, you can read it and then you can talk with my mom because she's
exactly.
active
She
learner.
loved it.
Yeah.
And so did Marine. I have to go back and read it. So a little no, it's okay for right now. It's good for now.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Sounds good. Any matters not anticipated?
No.
Okay, great. Then can I have a motion to adjourn? It's 8:34.
So moved.
Adjourned. All right.
All right.
Have a good night.